Welcome to Late Night Love, where we get a little bit of clarity and begin to trust our own inner knowing and intuition about someone on our mind. Sometimes we're just a little bit of curious. We want a little bit of validation. And it's fun to look into the energies. Sometimes it gives us completion. Other times it helps us to know that we're moving forward in the exact perfect way. So we will grab some cards for you, some cards for them, and let's get to it. I'm Kristen. Thank you for being here with me today. I put out videos every single day with messages, all kinds of messages, and I hope that you will join me as many times as you can. All right, let's move kitty cat here. All right, let's start with you. You're in the dream. You're in this place of just dreaming about what it is that you want, what your desire is, what your passion is. You're dreaming about what's going to fulfill you. And that's where everything starts, in the imagination. You know, we can birth what we dream into reality, but often just sitting and being with ourselves and conjuring and being alchemical with our thoughts, not just over-analyzing with our thoughts and over-analyzing ourselves and everyone else, but kind of letting our thoughts come in naturally and intermingle with our hearts and our bodies and begin to dream about what actually feels good for us. You're in that space. It's a good space to be in. All right. The other is in chemistry. So you've got a person that feels a lot of chemistry with you, and they are looking to create. They're looking to be supportive. They don't want to, push themselves into what you're doing. They want to be a part of it in a very natural and organic way. They're very interested in your dreaming process, actually, in what you're cooking, in what you're, what it is that you're trying to, create and conjure up. They're interested in you and you as a whole person. 2 came out for the energies between you. There's jealousy and there's healing. Okay, so there could be somebody is healing from jealousy, or somebody is looking at those places in them that feel jealous, which stem from, not feeling good enough, lack of self-value, not appreciating yourself enough. I will say this is coming up as well, that someone could have been jealous of you. This other person could possibly have been jealous of what you were creating. Maybe you have become very successful or have been gaining a lot of momentum in your career or in your own personal work, and there was a certain amount of jealousy of how things were just coming to you naturally, or what your successes were. It was making them feel less than. And so there's some kind of acknowledgement or healing of that. You could have also been with a partner that was just plain jealous. They felt like everybody was going after you, and there could have been an emotional aggression around having to be your protector. This could have been somebody who was inserting themselves, who was feeling like they had to be sort of the person that ushered you in or helped you or made something happen in your life. It was because of them, because it makes them feel good about themselves to feel like they could do this for you, as opposed to standing by you and creating with you, or being in admiration of what you create and letting that be inspiring to them. I feel like if this is what you are coming from them, what you are dreaming about and what you are calling in is this person that it's like two whole people coming together, and you inspire each other, and sort of those little places where, you know, you need help and healing, and it is where they can come in and be supportive, and vice versa. Those places where they need help and healing, you can come in and support. And it's very reciprocal. It's not like, you know, I have to be the one that, you know, is taking charge and getting this done. And, you know, you're strong because of me, you're successful because of me. It's not that way. And so you, if that was the case, then you are calling in someone that is being more gracious, and bringing in more of that feminine energy of being able to receive themselves. That this giving to you, and this being able to feel like they're supporting you through, you know, physical manifestation, or perhaps supporting you maybe financially or emotionally, or being able to give something in one way or another to you. It's not about, it makes them feel better about themselves, or it makes them feel like a man or something. It's literally from this place of just very divine, sacred, supportive, service or mission. And you want a person that's more about service, and they have like a very strong mission statement in life. Let's go a little deeper. So you may have just found that person. It could have been that you were with a lot of these people that had this sort of unbalanced masculine, feminine energy. And it didn't feel very good. It felt like, it was like they expect something in return back for it. Or as opposed, it may have never have felt like you were saying thank you enough, or, or they might have, I'm getting, somebody may have felt like, well, I'm just enabling you to like sit around and do nothing, or I'm enabling you to have some sort of pipe dream. When really what they're doing is to make themselves feel better. It's not about you. If that was the case, in which case you are, you're releasing that. You're releasing perhaps the traumatic events of that, or being through that kind of thing where you felt you were being nurtured, supported, helped, but it really was about somebody else feeling better about themselves. And you are, imagining in this place of deep healing and understanding for yourself that we're all looking for partnership, that, we're all finding our chemistry, right? And our compatibility. And sometimes there are pieces of things that we like about people, but that we're very drawn to certain aspects of who they are, but the whole thing doesn't really fit. It's not what we want to, it's not the feast that we want to, put on the table and engage with and be with. It's you want somebody who holds you in your process, and who isn't afraid to let you hold them in their process. And it's interesting because if somebody was supporting you in that way, what were they jealous of? Were they jealous of the personal growth work you do on yourself? Were they jealous of, perhaps, it really was friendships that you have with people, and friendships with the opposite sex, and not feeling comfortable with friendships that you had with the opposite sex? Perhaps there were some other people of the opposite sex that were sort of mentoring you or helping you, or you were apprenticing with them, or they just were trying to, you were networking with them, you were resourcing them, and they were kind of taking it for something that it wasn't, and making you feel bad about it. Like, well, you can't accept help from that person because it makes me feel bad about myself. I'm not good enough for you. What are you going to do? Are you going to cheat on me? Are you going to go hang out with them now? Or it's almost like accusing you of things that you weren't even doing. And it's the healing and the bringing in of, that which that you really seek, that is there, that is coming for you, and that you are waiting for it in this place of that's more relaxed, that's more self-assured. We go through these experiences with people because it helps us to understand who we are on a deeper level and what we're looking for on a deeper level. And that's the lesson to really take as you go into your place of dreaming and imagining of what it is that you want to bring in. What were the things that worked? What was the chemistry that worked? What were the things you did together that worked? What were the things that you really liked? And then what were the things that weren't? And kind of like maybe do a little dreaming session, or kind of contemplate or sit with those things that really didn't fit with you, that didn't jive with you, that didn't make you feel good about yourself. These things that you don't want, and acknowledge that those things are there as well. And you don't want to throw that into the recipe, right? We only want to throw things into the alcohol recipe of what we want to create moving forward after these experiences. And it's not about feeling bad about them, or perhaps you've repeated cycles, you've repeated, you've dated a similar kind of person, or there's a through line to everyone that you've dated that hasn't worked for you. And it's about, okay, I can see that. I can step out of it. I can be the observer. I can watch myself. I think for a lot of you here that maybe recently you have watched yourself repeating certain patterns with, lovers and potential relationship partners. And it's like, oh, okay, I really see that now. And that's to be, again, just really pat yourself on the back, because that's the most important part, is to really see it and acknowledge it. Then the next thing is to take the action that's a little bit different, even though it could be potentially uncomfortable to, move into a place where you're being drawn to a different kind of person, right? It's like, I'm not normally into that. That's uncomfortable. I normally like that. So maybe go back to your sense of dreaming and that place of where you really felt good in your body about what it is that you want, and kind of see if that loosens up some of the resistance, maybe to a different kind of person. Lean into feeling good about yourself. Really feel like, oh yeah, when I'm around that kind of person, that, yeah. Okay, for some of you, you were networking or resourcing, or there was someone that was really helping you, and it was a friendship, or a person in your life that wasn't romantic, that you weren't seeing romantically, they weren't going after you romantically, there was no reason for this person to be jealous. But like, after all of this, for some of you, there's someone that you already know who's in your scope of field, that it's like, maybe begin to kind of open up to them. So if that message is for you, you're going to know exactly who you are and who they might be. And it doesn't hurt to even explore it, whether you go on the date or not, or anything happens of it or not. It could literally be, oh, that's really interesting. I say yes to that. And again, if it doesn't really happen, you can still be like, yeah, I really like that they're established in that way, or that they have a gentleness about them in that way, or they're a really strong, direct person in that way, but yet they can still be very sensitive to, my feelings and emotions around certain things, or I feel less analytical around this person. It's just a place to kind of explore and get curious about. Okay. Let's see what other details want to come out. Strength. So I do want to say there could be some sort of Leo energy involved. I'm not always into talking about the astrology signs, but somebody who is very strong. Somebody who has a very romantic, childlike presence. And not like childlike, like immature, but they have a sense of play around them, a sense of romanticism. They're not afraid to get romantic. They enjoy adventure, but they have like a very charismatic, kind of personality that jumpstarts you. It jumpstarts, the fire in your belly, With the Ace of Cups, you know, this sense of dreaming, this place where you are, this conjuring place, this is going to absolutely, you know, create a new opportunity for you, perhaps in the time of Leo. So if we're recording this in April, maybe over the next few months, you might find yourself in the July, August time, you know, finding yourself dating someone, finding yourself meeting someone, finding yourself with a person that really is sparking your heart space, making you feel emotional, making you feel like you've got this childlike sense of play and wonder, and there's an innocence around it because it feels like a new kind of relationship. It feels like closer to what it is that you're trying to, like, you know, I've had these life experiences and I'm throwing this in the pot, you know, this from this and this from this and this from this. And, you know, it's been on a slow boil, a slow simmer. And all of a sudden at the height of summer, which would be so much fun and just so perfect, it's sort of like it begins to boil a little bit. So that is something to look forward to for some of you for the actual summertime. You know, you could also be doing something in the summertime or going somewhere or have something planned where you meet this person. With the Star, this goes back to the healing. Because you've taken time to heal, because you've taken time to not pressure yourself into rushing into another relationship or feeling you have to, like, jump on the apps. You know, you're taking the time to figure it out first. And, you know, what patterns am I breaking? What, you know, limiting self-beliefs about myself, you know, am I working on healing and working on, you know, breaking through and working on disrupting, you know, and what's going to help you do that? And it could be that you do go on just a bunch of, like, dates, or dating someone a couple of times where it's just really good experiences, and you're beginning to collect these experiences, and you're collecting all these different things that you like, that you're like, yeah, that, and yeah, that, and yeah, that. Oh, but we just didn't have, you know, the chemistry with them I want to have, or we had chemistry, but, you know, we really didn't do a lot of fun things, and they like to sit at home, and I don't like to sit at home, or, you know, you're seeing and you're collecting these things. So don't be afraid to have a little bit of fun and go on different kinds of dates, which is not always the case. I do think that there has been a time of healing. There's also, like, this time of, you know, of destiny, of finally coming into your destiny around what it is that you're looking for. You know, like, the time is now with the Ace of Cups and the Star. You know, after you're, and looking for somebody who has done their healing work, somebody who of themselves is a very whole person, who's not afraid to look at their stuff. This is the kind of person that, you know, without really words, they understand what you're saying. It's like you don't have to sit and explain yourself constantly. You know, they get it. It's like, you know, you say a sentence and they're like, yeah, you know, I'm going through the same thing. You know what I mean? Or, you know, you kind of say something, they look at you like, yeah, totally. Like, you don't have to, you know, go into, you know, overdrive or constantly over-explain. You know, this new thing that you're going into is less about being stuck in your mind and trying to justify yourself to yourself so then you can justify yourself to them. It's about just a deep sense of two people that know who they are and are willing to continue to explore who they are while being in partnership with another. Because with the Five of Cups, you are no longer needing to experience this constant letdown or sorrow, or feeling left out in the cold, or feeling like someone is putting their own personal stuff on you. You know, so that somebody is projecting onto you. You now see where people have projected their stuff onto you in romantic relationships, and you know you're over it, and you know what that feels like in the body. You know how that feels. Like, you feel it before they can even do it, it's like, oh, I can feel it. No, or the moment it's done, it's like, I don't need to go there anymore. You know what? Who cares about the great dinners we went to? You know what I mean? It's like, I'll make my own dinner. I'll buy my own dinner. I'll go out with my girlfriends. I'll get Chinese. I don't need this. And you don't, because you're making room and you're making space for what's coming next. With the Ten of Wands, this has been a huge process for you. You've been not afraid to go into your own process. But there comes a point where how many times do you have to go through the same thing over and over and over again? It's like lesson learned. It's like I'm seeing the Wheel of Fortune. It's like, the lesson is learned. It's okay to complete this lesson. You don't need to do any more work on yourself around this. We'll always be doing work on ourselves. We're always in the journey of life. We're always unraveling and peeling and discovering new perspectives, and going into a corner of our heart, or to our psyche, and like, that from another perspective, that again. I mean, that doesn't stop. But there are certain lessons, there are certain things where it's just like, it's okay to say, I'm done. So keep dreaming. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you love hanging out and want to hang out some more, I put up readings every single day for the collective on all kinds of subjects, and I would absolutely love to hang with you more. So please subscribe if you are feeling the call, but please do give me a thumbs up. It really would help me a lot, and I would appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow in the next one. Bye.